What happens inside a horse's mouth can be the key to the development and training of your riding partnership. Veterinarian Andy Burke has practiced equine medicine for over 18 years. He stresses the importance of understanding the anatomy of this sensitive area and how the horse is affected and how the bit sits in the horse's mouth.
Well, the bars would refer to the space in the horse's mouth where the horse doesn't have any teeth. And right here you can see on the side of the horse's jaw it has the incisors, which it uses to grasp the hay or the straw or the grass and pull it up, uproot it from the ground and then get it into its mouth. And then it uses these hind teeth, which are the molars and premolars, to grind its food and swallow. The space in between would be referred to as the bar or the gap. Okay, the reason why horses have this gap is because throughout evolution they simply have not had a need for teeth in those areas, and like any other structure throughout millions of years of evolution, the structures that aren't needed tend to fade away over time. Well, there's several things that can happen if you don't float a horse's teeth. When you're riding the horse, trying to put a bridle, a bit in its mouth, the points that are created there will actually be accentuated. Their effect will be accentuated by the presence of the bit in the mouth. And whenever the rider attempts to turn the horse one way or another, or slow down the horse, or control the horse, these effects will come into play. And if there are sharp points, that will cause irritation at those times, and the horse will be reluctant to respond to the proper commands.
While different bits can be considered severe or mild, the rider's hands determine the effect of the bit on the horse. In Andy's practice, he has seen how even a very mild bit can cause damage to a horse's mouth.
Well, what happens over time, assuming that the rider uses the bit properly and that it's not abused and that it fits the horse well and the horse is not overly sensitive, is nothing. The horse will accept it and will do great. When it becomes a problem is when the bit is either malformed or doesn't fit right, or is perhaps too severe in structure for that horse's mouth. In other words, it's too sharp in certain areas, or it's too restrictive in certain areas, or pinches too much in certain areas. That's when it causes problems with the soft tissues in and around this area. The most common thing we see is tearing of the lips. We see sores that develop, pressure sores that develop around the corner of the lips here. We'll also see rub sores that develop in the gum line right around where the premolars are, just behind the bit. Those areas over time will tend to get irritated, infected, very sensitive. And that's, again, something that you'd have to check for when you have a horse that's not responding properly to commands that it's given. A snaffle actually can damage a horse's mouth rather easily in just the fact that it is a less severe bit, and people, because it's a less severe bit, don't have the ability to control the horse to quite the degree, will tend to try to muscle the animal utilizing that gear, and that will cause some tearing of the horse's mouth and some sores of the lips. A Mikmar bit differs from a regular bit in that it distributes its pressure over 4 different areas of the horse's head. It will distribute pressure over not only the poll and the bridge of the nose, but also the jaw area and the commissures or the corners of the lips. Now, a regular bit will only distribute pressure here in the lip area, and by doing that will only give the horse information based on 1 point of pressure, whereas the Mikmar bit will give information to a horse based on 4 areas of pressure, thereby increasing the ability of the horse to respond to the stimuli. He seems to understand the signal that much better because you've got 4 spots instead of 1. It also helps to preserve the lip area, which is prone to pressure sores and injury due to bits. If we help to preserve a horse's mouth, then obviously we'll get much more use out of a horse, and we won't have to be adjusting things all the time. And we find that this bit does just that it enables a horse to be ridden much more regularly. We don't have to do a lot of switching of equipment and changing gear. And because it is so kind, we don't have to worry about injuring the horse's mouth, and we just get a lot more use out of that horse because of that.